Masechta Zevachim, Daf Kuf Yud Daled Amud Aleph. We're starting from Kuf Yud Gimel Amud Beis, the last line. The last line starting from the Reveya Niva. Okay. Zok the Gemara. We learned in the Mishnah Reveya. A Reveya is an animal that lived with a man. A Niva is that the man lived with the animal.
Is it the same?
Huh?
Isn't it the same?
No. No. Again, a behemoth that lived with a person it could be a zach. The behemoth one after the person. Behemoth zach, whatever. We have to go through it. Anyway, so reveva niva or muktzah. I'll just continue what the Mishnah said. Or he designated this behemoth Faveda Zada. Yeah, Vanevad is it would actually this behemoth was served as Haveda Zara. It's gebuktzim. He bowed to this behemoth. So the Mishnah says that if he was making b'chutz, he's going to be potter because it said lefnei Mishkan Hashem. It has to be in front of Hashem's Mishkan.
It wasn't kosher anyways.
Huh?
It wasn't kosher anyways.
Oh, yeah. So he says that it's going to be possible. From which pasuk do we learn out that it's going to be possible? Because it says in the pasuk lefnei Mishkan Hashem, and this is not for Mishkan Hashem. Why do we have to learn it out from that pasuk of lefnei Mishkan Hashem? We have the unilateral pasuk or universal pasuk that went from all the psulim. Learn out to exclude the revei v'aniva min Pesach. Well, Pesach yomein le'seviyu. Meaning that it can't even enter the Oyomayid. Revei v'aniva cannot enter. Revei v'aniva is if it was sodomized by animal sodomized the person. Why do we say the reason why he's over if he does bachutz? He's potter that if he does v'shachs bachutz. You said because it's not Mishkan Lashem. You learn it out from Mishkan Lashem. Learn it out because it says, "Well, Pesach Yomeid Haviyu." You can't even bring it into the Pesach Yomeid, and the only time you're going to be Chai Bachutz if you can bring it into the Yomeid. And these are not behemoths that you could. So you might have bishlam Revei v'Nirva mashkachas. It is understood Revei v'Nirva. It's possible to bring it into the Yomeid. Or nachdem that is very na Revei v'Nirva. He could before it became it was sodomized. The behemoth went into the oil made as a kosher behemoth. So the Gvishino Meikari was magdash before, and he was able to bring it in. And then Shpeta, it became a sodomized behemoth. The behemoth sodomized. So that's why you can use the Pascal Levi. You couldn't bring it into the oil made. You could. It was able to be brought into the Maiden, and it could be a case that only later it became a Reveya Niva. So we learn that because it's not La Hashem. Such an animal cannot be sacrificed La Hashem. That's only Shaykh if you're saying Pesach Yomeid. Something Mishkan La Hashem says it has to be the carbon at the end. The result has to be La Hashem, and this is not going to be La Hashem. That's why he's going to be potter if he shechted bachutz. So Grimara Alumuksa. Something that was designated for Aveda Zara or was served as Aveda Zara. He says, you have to say, you cannot say that it was roy to be brought inside, because if it was roy to be brought inside, because he already made it hekdesh, you can't make it ois hekdesh by a stranger coming on a book to the behemoth, and you're going now to bring a carbon. Whatever, somebody else goes and gets a book for the behemoth. That's my Aveda Zara. So your behemoth becomes possible. Man, if he made it hektish and somebody goes and says, "So he's hektish," he gives a book. I'm going to bow as Aveda Zara. It doesn't become his hektish. So how did it become? So the only way that he passed the hektish was because it was before. So if it was before, it was already designated for Aveda Zara. So before he made it hekdesh. So then it's you should learn it out from the pasuk al Pesach Yomeid lo yaviu. It cannot even enter the Pesach Yomeid. Why are you learning it out from Mishkan Hashem? So the Gemara says it's talking about Kadashim Kalam. You can make something hekdesh, but it's still yours. A chelik still belongs to you. So therefore,
Why is it called kosher color?
kachim kalim is the lighter kachim
Why is it light?
because not either oil is kulul Hashem.
Okay.
The kavanah shlamim is halb tzedeh, halb
So
tzedeh.
this is
So it's much lighter. Kachim kalim is where it's sacrificed also, and it's lemata mechut hasika. There are many different dinim in the gather from kachim kalim, but kachim kalim, the balabas still has a chelik even if they becomes hagdish. So even if he made a hagdish and then he uses it for avodah zarah, it becomes possible because he still has a chelik in the carbon by kachim kalim. So you wonder where do we see that? The Tanya we learned remember I said by shvus apikadin. If I gave you a pikadin, I gave you a silver goblet to hold, and now you have to swear that you don't have it, and you denied, and the chichish b'amisay, you denied, and then you made that you lied.
Is a kiva haka,
Yeah, but the shpata is a murder. At the murder you have. So in such a case, he has to pay chaymesh, and he has to bring a kamasham. He has to pay the kerem with a fifth more, and he has to bring a aisle for a asham. So it says over there, that's it says v'nafesh kisachto mal ba'Hashem v'chichesh ba'amisei. So it says mal ba'Hashem. So even though, so what does it mean mal ba'Hashem? What does he say? How's it shaykh mal ba'Hashem? He says it's shaykh. Let's say I made a behema, I made a kachim kalim, I made a kodesh. I gave it to you to hold as a bekadin. That person denied and says, "Ladam, I don't have it." And shpeta is made that he has it. So in such a case, he is chayiv. He's so it's his also. Even though it's his, it's also Hashem's. He's also Oiva Meila. Ladabis kachim kalim that he's going to be chayiv for the shvus apikadin l'mashal the behemoth shlomim. He kafar, he denied, he swore, and then he was made up. So we said because it's the Mammon Bailim, so therefore it's Shaykh Baal B'Hashem, this Me'ilan, also he has to pay him back because he has a chelik in it. The Balabas has a chelik in it. Those are the words of Rabbi Yosef Aguli. That's why it's Shaykh to say, Bal Pesach Hayomei Lehaviu, because it was Shaykh over here, he's going to be Pater, because by Shlamim, it's shaykh that it became a apostle later. That he was that's in your book. First there was a Shlamim, he brought it in, and then he made apostle. So it's possible that it chanted a Pesach Hayom. That's why we needed Mishkan Lashem, the second pasuk, to exclude that you're not going to be chai for it. So you mother Hilkach. Therefore, Reveya Nirba Dvar Eva. But when it comes to Reveya Nirba, sodomized animal. That's not totally in your machshava. Oh, I have a thought to be makavit as avodah zarah. No, once there was a vei in the hiva, the guf alein is mushchis. Like the pasuk brings it, is mos, and it brings the I don't know where the pasuk is, but it's a inyan from mushchis. So he says, so it's not totally machshava. So that's why it's already the moment it became hugdish, right? So there, you have to come on to Kam Lashem, to Lefnei Mishkan Hashem, in order to exclude psulim, these psulim from the Hakrab B'chutz, Muktzah v'Nevad, Avitzkicham. How about if he designated with his machshava, it should be this Behemoth Avodah Zarah, or that's your book, he bowed it, so where there it's telling machshava in the person, so he says also Lefnei Mishkan Hashem in order to be mamayit you have to have the pasuk Lefnei Mishkan B'Hashem. It's that the Kadashim Kalim. It's talking Kadashim Kalim. He said he could still make it possible even after it's Hagdish, and the same thing is by Esnan. Esnan is a Zaina who got paid with a behema. That behema you cannot be makif or mechir or somebody. Exchanged a kela for a behema, and now he wants to use this behema for a carbon. Or kilayim. Kilayim is a breed that came from two different minim. The Yetzadeifen and a Caesarean. It didn't give birth the normal way. They cut the stomach. All those cases, we said, it's not, these psulim is learned out from Mishkan Lashem, Lahakim come Lashem, and this is not Lashem.
What's the other pasuk? The other pasuk is
because this could be brought in the Pesach Hayom. Now the question is, how could it have been brought? How could Esnam be brought in Hayom? How could Kilayim be brought in Hayom? So the Gemara Bivlad is Kachim. It's talking about that it was a vlad. It was while the baby is in the stomach, so it can enter the Hayom, and he could be magdish while the fetus is in the mother's stomach. He could be magdish it for Esnam. Says this you're paying for this nus, but it doesn't become hegdish till after it gives birth. The chiyuv hegdish. So when it
hegdish can't become if it's still in the mother's womb.
no.
It's not alive,
It's in the mother's stomach, but it's not. The din hegdish cannot be chal until it's born. So till it was born, they made deals while it was in the mother's stomach.
It's not considered a separate entity.
It's part of the behema, yes. And the kalayim, the same thing. There was a kalayim, the behema inside. So before it came out, he made a deal to go to hegdish, and then when it was born, you can't do it. So that's when hegdish is chal. But it was able to go into the Yom. That's why we needed the pasuk Mishkan Lashem, because Al Pesach Yom was able to enter. Sagt die Gemara, v'kasava v'ladi kadoshim b'havayos and hein kadeshim. When does it become kaddish? B'havayos, when it gives birth. They learn it out from the pasuk asher yiyelecha. It says in the pasuk. That's where we learn out. Only from when it gives birth, then it becomes hegdish is chal. But kolzman, it's in the mother's stomach. It's part of the mother. Sagt die Gemara, we learned in the Mishnah, Balimum turtle doves that didn't reach the age, or the father, the mother was geshacht, or the son was geshacht. You can't do it together in the same time. So what do we say? That was a second case. What was the third case? There was Teirin Shalei Giyaz Manam. There was the Oisev Esbenai, and we had one more. A term that didn't a term showed a dime like he got losam, yeah. Balimumin oivrim. That if you wait a little bit of time, the mum will go away. So you have three cases which is totally bisman. Balimumin oivrim, right now it has a mum. You have the case that it's too young, but the turtle doves, but when it reaches, you wait a little bit, will be of age. And then you have Oisves V'nai, you cannot do in the same day. You just wait another day, and then you can do both. So these are called Mechusas Man. Why do we need three cases of Mechusas Man?
He needed time.
He needed time.
These are facts.
Why do you need to give three Machlekesen? Rab Shimon holds in all these three cases, you're going to be over Aloisasei. Why do we need three cases of Mechusas Man to say that since he'll take just a little bit of time, and it'll become mutter? So therefore, even if he does it before the time, it's going to be over on the lois asay for shachtim b'chutz.
Three cases. That's the only three cases that they have.
No, what do I need? One case of chutz's man should be a binyanah for all cases. So he says it's chichani all that. If I would have only learned the one that has a mum, but it's going to go away. It's going to go away. He says, oh, but yeah, it's mishum de meis. It's disgusting. So it's disgusting. So I'll say that's why the chacham and pati, the sheikhet, the gamri, because right now it's disgusting. So it's out of the question. Aval teirin that didn't reach the age, it's not disgusting. It's just too young. It's too young. So even the Reb Shimon, maybe it'll be made that he's able to say you just have to wait a day. But the bamum is disgusting. Okay, if I would only learn the young turtle doves, I'll say it was never a shasa kosher. There was never a time that it was kosher. It was too young. You have to wait till it becomes kosher. But the behemoth that had a mum, the lechatchila was good. Nochtime is given a mum over, and it's gonna pass. So there was a shasa kosher. Maybe there the Rabbi Shimon will be mechayiv for shechting b'chutz because there was a time that it was a kosher. Avo balimumim the chazvi itchul. Balimum, we just said, Balimum the chazvi itchul. I would have thought, amen the Bible Rabbi Shimon Rabbanan. But by Balimum that it was fit, and then it got pushed off because it got a mum, but it's going to pass. So maybe Rabbi Shimon will be made the Terabanan
That's what's chayiv.
that he's potter.
Why?
Because because it was pushed off from it was itchel the chazav itchel. It was first fit, and then it got pushed off. So mitchila didn't have a mum. It was ready to be sacrificed. Then a mum came, and it pushed it off. So Rabbi Shimon will say,
It's a mum oiva, though. It's a mum oiva.
yeah, but you're right.
But it goes away.
Rabbi Shimon will be made. I would say Rabbi Shimon will be made that somebody who's making bachutz will be potter, even though the mum will pass, because right now it became already a dichui off the mizbeach. It was pushed away from the mizbeach. Something that's pushed away.
So all,
So
of them were pushed away.
No.
For reasons.
the turtle dove wasn't pushed away. It was never fit yet. The moment it gets fit, and then it gets pushed away, you say it's a dichui.
The same thing. I say that's benai.
One second. And if I learn the balimumim oivim and the terim shalehigilas manam, I'll say mishum the psula gufayo. That's a psul in the animal, in the bird itself. It's too young. It's a pasla bird. Or the balmum. Right now, the behema is a pasla behema. The guf hatamum. Avo isbenai the psul me'amakase. Isim isbenai. They're both perfect. Same right age. There's no psul in the guf. Just a psul from the Eibishter gemacht. It's outside. It can be the same day. So Eimah made Rabbanim Shimon. So maybe Rabbanim will be your chayiv because it's Royad. The Eimah is Royad. That's why I needed all three cases. It says anything that's Royad to come after Zman, somebody who shachs the bachutz, anything that becomes fit later. Even though right now it's not fit, if you shach the bachutz, you're going to be chayiv. Even though right now it's not royed bifnim, but lach hazmana will be. Reb Shimon says, since lach hazmana will be, it's as if it's good now inside, and if you shach that outside, you're going to be chayiv.
Isn't that his shita in different places?
Yeah, that's his shita. Yeah. Frank, my time to Reb Shimon. What's the reason of Reb Shimon? Says Rabbi Yelah, Rabbi Shlakish. Rabbi Yelah said in the name of Rabbi Shlakish, Damakra. It says Benegeya to the Hakravas Hakabonis. If the Bnei Yisrael entered Eretz Yisrael, it says Lo Yisasim Kichel Asher Anach Noisim Po Hayoyim Ish Kol Hayosh Be'enov. It says over there, the Yidden, after they entered Eretz Yisrael, they had the Mishkan Benoiv, and they had the Mishkan in Gilgal. They didn't have it in Shiloh for 14 years. 7 years they conquered. 7 years they divided Eretz Yisrael. So the only thing that was mutter was a choivas tzibur and a bama tzibur, but a private.
We're in Shiloh.
In Gilgal and Noiv. In Shiloh there was mamash mishkan.
Shiloh was the
third one. 369 years it lasted. So he says over there. So the only thing you could be makriv on your private bama is a neder, a nedava, something was nishken chayv. Okay? Moshe said to the Yidden, when you'll enter Eretz Yisrael, immediately, so till you conquer Eretz Yisrael, until you divide Eretz Yisrael, you cannot be Makav Kabanes, only Yeshodis Takrivu, only those things that are not a Choyv. Yeshodis means like a Neder, a Nadava, something that's Nishkin Choyv. But Choyv is like Takrivu. Choyv is any carbon Choyv, you cannot be Makav. Sidus HaCheves Tzibor. The Gilgal, Lagabe Shiloi, Mechus Manhu. And the Noiv and Gilgal, whatever they were sacrificed there, is considered Mechus Man. They couldn't be Makiv till Shiloi, the Mishkan Shiloi. They couldn't be Makiv HaKarb Mecheva on the Bamas. The Kamalu Moshe, and Moshe said to the Bnei Yisrael, Loi Sasu. It's also for you in the time of Gilgal to be makiv achoiv on your private bama. You're not allowed. It's a loy sasa. Omer Rabbi Yirmiyah Abzeda. Rabbi Yirmiyah said to Abzeda, Yehachi, what's... Omer Rabbi Yirmiyah Abzeda. Rabbi Yirmiyah said to Abzeda, Yehachi, if Kabbalah is cheves yachid in the time of Gilgal, is considered, it's missing time till it'll be fit to be makiv achoiv chayva, Sagt die Imane, Milke, Name Lilke. They should get Malchus. the sheikhet should get malchus for mechusas man, meaning every sheikhet should get malchus because he's over and loy sasun. You're not allowed to be makiv a chayv. Allah Rabbi Zayda akasan nitla say. Rabbi Zayda said benegeya to oisav es benai, right? He says that if he shachted it, he's not going to get malchus because it's written in the lashon of asay, and the lav that you shouldn't do that is a lav. We learn that we imply it from the asay. It says how you should do it. Okay, so it's a lav that, or it's 7 days. I'm sorry, 7 days. You shouldn't be making before the 7 days when it's ready to be a carbon. So, but it says you should be making of it after 7 days
of its life. You mean?
of its life. You should be making of it after 7 days. So you can learn out before 7 days is a lav. So that lav is learned out. Not that it says beferish in the Torah. It's learned out from the say. That's what it means. Nitil say. It's not written as a lav. We learn out the lav from the say.
This goes on.
It's usually a lav is connected to say. Here it means a lav that we learn out from the say, and therefore he doesn't get malchus. So, but according to Ish Lakish, there is a lois say. Lois sasun. It says you're not allowed to do it. You're not allowed to be makiv something that's mechusas manoi, like we said by the Gilgal. You're not allowed to be makiv akam chayva. You have to wait till Mishkan Shila is going to be built. Then you can be makiv the chayvas, those kabbanis which are chayv. So that's called mechusas man. And if you makiv it before, you're over. It says lois sasun. What? Chayvas? No. A chayvas tzibur, yeah. Chayvas yachid, not. A neder you allow. A neder and a davar, that's not a chayv. Says you want to. So you see, there's a befedish loisas written. Rabbi Shimon says it says we just learned before. It says the word loisasum by mechusas mane. It says you want to hanim rabbanon. This that we said that he's not going to be over malchus because that goes according to rabbanon who do not dash in this drasha that there's a loisas by a case of mechusas mane. If it's missing time and you're making it before it's time, that you're going to be able to loisas. He doesn't learn that. Reb Shimon Achanami, but according to Reb Shimon, you're going to get malchus, and you're able on that loisas. Yeah, if you do before this man, you're going to be over. He learns that drasha. And Nachman Yitzchak Amar Pnim the Gilgal Legabe Shilai. He says the Pnim of the Hazara in the Yomayit that they put up in Gilgal is not called the Pnim Legabe Shilai. Legabe Shilai, Legabe the Mishkan Shilai, the Pnim of Gilgal Kichutz Dami has a din like chutz, and therefore the law of lois sasim that Reb Shimon darshan to include kol mechusei zmanoi, like he explained in Reish Lakish, it was not said on shchitas chutz. It said on shchitas mechusei zman bifnim. You understand? Mm-hmm. Here we're talking about Gilgal. It's talking about that it was in the pnim of Gilgal. But the pnim of Gilgal has a din like chutz by Shilai, because Gilgal is temporary. So even the inner part of Gilgal is considered as outside by the Mishkan Shilai. So therefore, he says on Shchitas, which case did he say that you're going to be chayiv? Aloisasei, that it was done pnim in Gilgal, and he's over on Aloisasei for Mechusas Manei on the pnim of Gilgal. Rabbi Amar Time Rabbi Shimon Kedetanya, like we learned in the Brayso. Rabbi Shimon Naiman Menayin L'Saveyach Pesach Bebamas Yochid B'Shasisa Bamas. How do we know shechting a carbon Pesach on a private bama in the time that there was a Isa Bamas She'evahu B'Leisasei, that is going to be a Eva B'Leisasei?
When was the Isa Bamas? When?
By Gilgal. That's the Pesach was a chayv. You're not allowed to be.
So they didn't bring any carbon Pesach at that time?
But only if it was a Bamas Tzibur. But Bamas Yachid was forbidden.
Oh, there was a
Bamas Tzibur, yes. Yeah. Pesach is a Chayvas Tzibur. Chayvas Tzibur was only done with Bamas Tzibur. A Bamas Yachid, you couldn't do a Chayvas Tzibur.
But they were marking Bamas.
But not private Chayvas. Not private Chayvas. A Carbon Pesach, yeah. Any Chayvas Tzibur, they were marking the Bamas Tzibur. But Bamas Yachid was Asa. So how do we know that Shechni Akom Pesach Bamas Yachid in the time of the Isa Bamas that he ate below Sasa. Talmud Leiman comes the pasuk and says, you're not allowed to shech the Akom Pesach in your cities. Yachal Abishas Heta Bamas Kain. I would have thought even in the time when Bamas was mutter, you were forbidden to shech a Akom Pesach by yourself. Talmud Leiman be'achat she'arecha lo yamarti lecha. I didn't say. When did I say that it's that you cannot shecht it only in a time when the Beis Hamikdash or the Mishkan Shiloh was put up? That's when everybody had to go through one gate. Nobody did it by their own places. So when was there a time that it was be'achat she'arecha? Only when the Mishkan was already put up. In Shiloh, in the Shiloh. That was what I told you.
Like it was in the Beis Hamikdash?
Yes. Says Gemara Amos, which so he says, when was he marking this Korban Pesach? If you're going to say it was Acha Chatzos, if he was marking after Chatzos, that's you mechuv the Korban Pesach then. So if you mechuv the Korban Pesach and you were marking it on a bomber in the wrong place. He should be chayiv for shechting b'chutz, because Abama is considered as chutz. Abama's yachid, especially Abama's yachid, so he should be chayiv kodesh.
Talking about Obama's yachid now.
Yes. Okay. So it says you want to for sure. We're talking alalav kaidim chatzais. He was marking it before chatzais, so there was no that you're not allowed to be marking yet a Korban Pesach before chatzais, or it has a din like a shlomim. Before Chatzos. Obama, yes. So there we're going to say that he's going to be chai for shchitas chutz. Okay? Because it's mechus zman. It's still it's shchita.
There was no chiyuv yet.
Mechus zman. It has just a little bit more time, and it'll be used as a Korban Pesach. That's called mechus zman.
So what is
What do we
it, the
consider
same as shechting a bird before it's 7 days? Is that what it's?
Yes. The Pesach at that time wasn't ra'ui to come into the Pesach oil mayit,
But a
So
bird
it
is
was
different.
nothing.
The bird
But
is
he's
it
telling
because
you-
it's guf, and this is not the guf. This is a zman. It's a different.
but that's what
But
the
it wasn't-
dasher.
That was also his man. It wasn't 8. The bird wasn't 7
So he's
days,
telling
it
you,
was 9.
right? So, but he tells you for that you're chayiv. Reb Shimon says you're going to be over from a lois haseh from a chutz zman. So for here we learn out the isla shchita bechutz of any carbon that's mechutz zman. He was making mechutz. That's number one. On a bamas yachid, it was koydem chatzois, so it's mechutz zman. Why should you be mechayiv him? So you see, because it's mechutz in a little bit more time, it would be fit to come into the Yomeyet. So therefore he's chayiv for chutz. Says you want to know, you have no raya from here. Lo ilam lacha chatzois. Really, we're talking about after chatzois. You're going to tell me he should have been chayiv kodes? No, he's not. Ubashas heta bamis koi. It's talking about in the time when the bamis were permitted. So when the time when the bamis were permitted, you were
Which
bamis tzibur for chayvas tzibur, and a bamis yachid not for nedarim and nedavis. But what did he?
That's in Gilgal and Noiv.
That's in Gilgal and Noiv, yes. So now he's telling you. So he was makriv b'bamis tzibur, b'bamis yachid, in a time when bamis tzibur were mutter. You were allowed to be makriv the Korban Pesach on the bamis tzibur. Instead, he did it on a bamis yachid. Why wasn't he chayiv kares? L'cheda, he did it on a bamis yachid. Should be considered like chutz. So he says no. B'shas isur. Well, first fact, you mother. How could you say it was b'shas heta bamis? It says b'shas isa bamis kama. We just said before it was in the time when the bamis were usher. Says you mother. No, isa bama loy. His private bama was usher. But bamas tzibur, meaning the bamas yachid was also to him. Meaning for other kabbanis in a bamas yachid is mutter. The bamas yachid, it means he was makriv on a bama b'shas heta for andere kabbanis, for a neder, a nedava. For a chayv is given aser. So what does it mean b'shas iser? And b'shas heta means, but in bama yachid the shas heta means the nedarim nedavis, which is mutter. The Shasisa means in the Chayv is also for Abama Yachid to be Makiv HaChayv. And that's why he was only Chayv Alav.
Isn't a carbon silver always also the Bama Yochid?
Yeah. Yeah. But somebody's telling you that it was Asr, but not to consider it as Chutz, because it has also a heter to do Nadarim and Nadavis there. So it's not so severe to call it Chutz that you Chayiv Kares. So you want to Mechutz Hazman, we learned in the Mishnah that it was either the goof of the Hema was missing, it was too young, or Mechutz Hazman, the Balabas, is a Metzayra. He has to still wait till he's healed to be able to bring a carbon, and he brings it before the time.
It's like a movie.
And what does it say? That he's going to be a chayiv, a chatas, a asham for being makir b'chutz. In fact, Yomar b'hani b'dei hashamis ninu. Zavim, the zavis, zavim, zava, yeledis, they're not chayiv asham. The chayiv a chatas on the oil. There's no asham by a zav or zava or a yeledis. Says Yomar, Hamazire tani mitzayra ba'adayu. Throw mitzayra in the mix. Mitzad mitzayra, there is asham. He has to be a asham when he heals.
What do you mean throw in the mix?
It says in the Mishnah, Zav v'Zava v'Yeledes. It doesn't say Metzayra. So how could you say he's going to be Chayv Hashem? He's only Chayv Chatzayla. Metzayra, and that's how you have Hashemis. It says it right. So he says yes. Metzayra does bring when he's healed Hashemis. It says Hazava v'Yeledes. It says is bachutz. In fact, you want to hani azav is zava. There's shlamim b'nei shlamim ninu. We just told you the only oil v'chatas. There's no shlamim. Amarav sheishes t'nei nazir. Learn, bring nazir in the mix, and mitzad nazir at the end he has to bring a shlamim, and that's why he mentioned shlamim. So you want to say idei kiva uha tanoi. The Zidei said you have to add Metzayah. That was established in the Mishnais. They put in the word Metzayah. Oh, but the Havsheishes that said you have to Mitzat Shlamim, you have to put in Nazir. Like Kavau Tanoi, they didn't, for some reason, they didn't put it in the Gizeh. They have nicht geweh even. Oh, but Rav Chilkiah. Rav Chilkiah had said, 520, right? Oh, but Rav Chilkiah Rav Tuvi. Lo Yishanu, that a Metzayah who shats Hakab Mash Machutz, before Zman, that he's pater ella lishmai, only if he had in mind l'shem asham. If he had a main sins as a asham, it's not miskabel b'fnim because it's mechus zman b'ba'olav. Asham, we said before, who's the one that brings asham? A mitzayda, and he brought it before as a asham before he's eligible to bring the carbon. Before the tzaras was healed and everything, he brought it. So if he brings it before, it's not roy to bring it through the Paschal Yom Meir. So since it's not roy to bring through the Paschal Yom Meir, if he shas b'chutz, he's pater. Aval shalei l'shmai. But what if it was an asham that he didn't have in mind for asham? He had in mind now for a shlamim. The only ones that it won't help is by a chatas and a pesach. But by asham, if he had in mind for a different carbon for a shlamim, so then the halacha is hoyel v'royel l'shalei l'shmai b'fnim. Since you can bring it in as a shaloi lishmai, as a shlamim, so if you shach the bachutz, you're going to be chai because it was royal inside. So Gemara Yahachi, if so, lishmai not in the chai. Let's say he had a mind for a asham, and it's before the mitzvah is eligible to bring it in, and say if he was makir hoyel v'royel shaloi lishmai, right? As the mitzvah to be healed, he has to first be healed, and after that he brings the carbon. There's the blood sprayed, and you remember the right ear, the right toe, and the whole procedure. That's asked when you bring the carbon. But here he wants to bring it before this man. So the Gemara says if Shlei Lishma, it's not a problem. He's going to be Chai V'chatas if he has a mind for Shlamim, because it's right to be brought in. And if he Shachs V'chutz, he's going to be Chai. But the Gemara yes, let it, even if it's Lishma, he should be Chai for Shachs V'chutz. Since this carbon, if you shach the shalei l'shma, it's right to be brought inside, right? So say automatically it became roi. If he brought it in before this man, even though he had in mind l'shem asham, it right away changes. Says you want to know Boy Akira, you have to. The carbon, it has to be uprooted. You have to say it's not a Asham. I'm bringing it as a Shlamim. Kolzman, you don't do it. It's not right.
It doesn't become a shlom.
It doesn't become a Shlamim. It doesn't. There's no by the snap of your finger, even though you don't have.
So you have to say the dibur.
Yeah, he says. I come. He says.
Sakira or Mishach, what do you do over here?
Nekam, daf oik is the same Asham. So you have to have in mind. It says you have to befedish have in mind shalei l'shmai, and if you don't, it's not good. Maskal Rav Huna says chiyesh l'chadav sheina kosher l'shmai, bekosher shalei l'shmai. Is there such a thing that a carbon lechatchila wasn't kosher, like here l'shem asham, but if you say I'm going to change it to shlamim, now it becomes kosher. Where's does he have you on? He says, well, what do you mean? It's not heard of. If somebody says I'm being makar come Pesach the rest of the year, there ain't a kosher lishmai. It's not kosher if you shachni as a come Pesach, but the kosher shalei lishmai. It's going to be kosher if it's for shlamim. So you see, a Pesach, if you had in mind for a come Pesach in the rest of in the other days of the year, during Hanukkah you bring a come Pesach. He said, this behavior is a come Pesach. Is that going to be kosher as a Pesach? No, you're not used to the Korban Pesach. But if you have a mind for Shlamim, it's going to help.
You're not yet to be shecht there, but if
You shecht it for a Korban Pesach.
No.
Yeah, we're talking about, he said, you change your mind.
You want to shecht the Korban Pesach for Hanukkah time.
Hanukkah time. Now I want my Korban Pesach done. I want to be ready. Come into Pesach all ready. Doesn't work. So it's not going to be kosher. But if he had a mind for Shlamim, it's going to work. Says Gemara, how could you bring a rye from Pesach? Pesach automatically, Bishai, you might say Shabbat Shlamim Nino. A Pesach in any other day of the year during Hanukkah time, it's not called Pesach. You can say what you want.
Right.
It's automatically a Shlamim. So you can't compare that it's a carbon that's puzzle because it's not puzzle. It's never a Pesach. The rest of the year, it's a Chatchila Shlamim.